The night was quiet in the small desert town of Silver Rock, New Mexico. The stars covered the sky, and the cool wind moved gently through the empty roads. David Moreno, a 34-year-old mechanic, had just closed his workshop. He was a quiet man who liked to keep to himself. Since leaving the Air Force 5 years ago, he had lived a peaceful life, fixing cars and drinking coffee on his porch. That night, as David was locking his garage, he heard a strange sound coming from the hills behind his house. It wasn't like anything he had heard before. It was loud, but not like thunder. It was sharp, like metal tearing through the air. Then came a bright flash of light that lit up the sky for a second. David looked up, confused, and then everything went quiet again. His heart began to race. He grabbed his flashlight, put on his boots, and walked toward the hills. The desert was dark, but the moon was full, giving just enough light to see the path. After walking for 15 minutes, he noticed a faint orange glow in the distance. As he got closer, he saw smoke rising from behind the rocks. What he saw next changed his life forever. A strange silver object, shaped like a long egg with smooth curves, was half buried in the sand. Parts of it were glowing, and small fires burned around it. The air smelled like burning wires and something unfamiliar. David's military training kicked in. He stayed low, approached carefully, and made sure it wasn't dangerous. As he got near, he noticed someone lying on the ground next to the strange craft. It was a woman, or at least she looked like a woman. She was tall, maybe 6 feet, and her skin had a soft silver glow. Her eyes were large, shaped like almonds, and her hair was pure white, tied back tightly. She wore a long robe that looked like something from another world, simple but shining softly like silk. David knelt beside her. She was breathing, but slowly. She opened her eyes and looked at him. At first, she spoke words he couldn't understand. Her voice was soft but deep. After a few seconds, she closed her eyes again. "I need to help her," David whispered to himself. He gently lifted her in his arms. She was lighter than he expected. Carefully, he walked back to his house, carrying her through the desert night. When he got home, he laid her on his couch, covered her with a blanket, and made sure the door was locked. His hands were shaking. Who was she? Where did she come from? And most importantly, what had just crashed in the desert? 2 hours passed. David sat on the chair beside her, trying to calm himself. Suddenly, she opened her eyes again. She looked at him and said in clear English, "Where?" "Am I?" David stood up, surprised. "You're safe. You're in my house. You crashed in the desert. I brought you here." She nodded slowly. "Thank you." He asked gently, "What's your name?" She looked at him as if thinking carefully. Then she said, "Sierra. That's what you may call me." "Sierra," David repeated. "I'm David." She sat up slowly, her hand on her head. "I did not plan to land here. I was escaping." "Escaping?" he asked. She looked at him with her silver eyes. "I come from a planet far away. My people don't make contact with humans, but I had to leave. I couldn't stay in the place where I was." David didn't know what to say. This wasn't a joke. Her appearance, her voice, her craft, everything was real. "I was part of a sacred order," Sierra continued. "We are called Guardian Sisters. We live a life of learning, guidance, and silence. We are not allowed to be near males, not even from our own kind." David blinked. "You've never met a man before?" "Not like this," she said. "This is the first time I've spoken to one face to face." There was a long silence between them. David didn't know how to feel. This was something out of science fiction, but it was happening in his living room. Sierra looked around the room. "You're home. It feels warm." David smiled nervously. "It's not much, but it's safe." She stood up slowly, then almost fell. David caught her. "Careful," he said. She looked at his hand on her arm. No one has ever touched me before, she whispered. David pulled back. I'm sorry. No, she said quickly. It's not bad. It just feels strange, but not wrong. That night, David let her sleep in his guest room. He stayed awake, thinking about everything that had happened. His life had always been simple. Wake up, work, eat, sleep. But now, in one night, he had rescued a woman from another world. And not just any woman, someone who had never known human touch, who had run away from a life of strict silence, who was Sierra really? Why had she run? And why did he feel such a strong need to protect her? He looked out the window toward the hills. The stars still shone above. Somewhere in that sky was her world. And now, she was in his. Something told him that this was only the beginning. The next morning, David woke up early. He hadn't slept much. His mind kept going back to Sierra, the strange woman from another world who was now resting in his house. He quietly walked to the guest room and peeked in. She was still asleep. Breathing slowly, her silver hair spread across the pillow. He made some breakfast, eggs, toast, and coffee. As he placed the food on the table, he heard soft footsteps. Sierra walked in, looking calm but curious. She wore the same long robe and moved gracefully as if each step had meaning. David smiled politely. Good morning? Morning, she said, a little slowly, as if practicing the word. He gestured to the food. Are you hungry? Sierra looked at the food carefully, then sat down. She picked up a slice of toast and took a small bite. Her eyes widened slightly. It's crunchy, but soft inside. Interesting, David chuckled. That's toast. They sat in silence for a few minutes. Sierra ate slowly, studying every bite. David noticed how she looked at things around the room. His books, the TV, the wall clock. She was seeing everything for the first time. After breakfast, David asked, Are you feeling okay today? Sierra nodded. Better. My body is still adjusting to this planet's air and gravity, but I'm strong. I will heal. David hesitated, then asked, Can I ask why you left your planet? Sierra looked down at her hands. My world is very controlled. Emotions, choices, even relationships, they are not allowed to grow freely. I was raised in a sacred place where only women live. We are called guardian sisters. We follow ancient rules. No male is allowed near us. We live to serve knowledge and keep the old ways alive. David listened quietly. It was hard to imagine a world like that. But, she continued, I began to question everything. Why can't we choose who we speak to? Why can't we explore the universe? Why can't we feel more than duty and silence? Her voice trembled for a second, but she quickly steadied herself. I wanted freedom, so I left. But when I escaped, they followed. That's why my ship crashed. David looked concerned. Do they know you're alive? They will search, Sierra said. But Earth is not easy for them to enter. They have to follow laws. Still, they will come. David leaned forward. Then we need to be careful. I won't let anything happen to you. Sierra looked at him closely. Why do you care? You don't know me. David paused, then said, I don't know. Maybe because you needed help. Maybe because I've spent years alone too. Maybe because I feel like I'm supposed to. Sierra didn't speak for a moment. Then she gave a small, warm smile. Thank you. Over the next few days, David helped Sierra learn more about Earth. He showed her how to use a remote control, how to search things on a computer, and how to make tea. She was a quick learner. Everything she touched, she wanted to understand. She was especially curious about emotions. Why do humans cry? She asked one night as they watched a sad movie. Sometimes crying helps release pain, David explained. It means something touched your heart. Sierra touched her chest gently. I feel something here. When people hug in the movie, it's warm, like light inside. That's emotion, David said. Sierra looked thoughtful. We were taught emotions are dangerous, that they cloud the mind. But now, I wonder if they are what make life beautiful. As days passed, their bond grew. Sierra started helping David in the garage. He showed her how engines worked, how to change oil, and how to fix broken machines. She was fascinated by the sounds, smells, and feel of the tools. One afternoon, while working on an old pickup truck, David accidentally dropped a wrench on his foot. He winced in pain. Sierra quickly stepped forward and held his hand. Are you hurt? She asked. A little, David said, trying to laugh it off, but Sierra didn't let go of his hand right away. She looked at it, then at him. I've never touched a man before, she said softly. Not even by accident. David stood still. Is that all right? Sierra nodded slowly. It feels strange, but not wrong. I feel safe with you. Her words made David's chest tighten. He had never met anyone like her. She was not only different in appearance, she was different in heart, pure, curious, brave, and every moment they spent together, something inside him grew. That evening, they sat on the porch watching the sunset. The sky turned shades of orange and pink. Sierra rested her hands on her lap, her eyes calm. Back on my planet, she said, we are told that connection is weakness, that touching, caring, choosing, all of it makes us less. David looked at her. And what do you think now? She turned to him. Now I think connection is strength. It gives life meaning. A soft breeze passed between them. Sierra looked up at the stars. Sometimes I wonder, maybe I didn't just escape. Maybe I was guided here. David looked up too. The stars blinked gently in the night sky as if listening. In that quiet moment, without speaking, they both knew that something had changed. What began as a rescue had become something deeper, and neither of them was ready to let go. The days turned into weeks, and Sierra's presence in David's house no longer felt unusual. It felt natural. They fell into a routine, sharing breakfast, working together in the garage, and sitting on the porch at night talking about stars, planets, and feelings. But inside Sierra, a silent storm was growing. One evening, David found her sitting alone in the backyard, staring at the sky. Her eyes were shining under the moonlight, but her face looked worried. He walked toward her and asked, "Everything okay?" She didn't speak for a moment. Then she said, "I'm afraid of myself." David sat beside her. "Why?" "I wasn't supposed to feel these things," she said softly. "I wasn't trained to handle emotions like this." "Like what?" She looked at him directly. "Attachment, care, longing, this need to be near someone, to touch their hand, to hear their voice every day. These are all new to me, and I don't know what to do with them." David gently said, "You're human in more ways than you think." Sierra smiled weakly. "On my planet, emotions are seen as a kind of sickness. Feelings must be controlled. We were taught that deep emotion leads to chaos, that it weakens focus. I used to believe that until I met you." David didn't say anything. He just listened. He could feel how heavy her heart was. "I dream now," she whispered. "Not of space or stars or escape, but of this house, of your voice, of sitting here beside you, and in my dreams I don't want to go back." David's chest tightened. He had also grown attached to her, more than he wanted to admit. Every time she walked into a room, he felt something light up inside him. Her voice had become a part of his day, her questions, her laughter, even her quiet silences. I don't know what love feels like, Sierra said suddenly. But if it's this mix of peace and pain, then maybe I'm feeling it. David reached out slowly and took her hand. She didn't pull away this time. You're not alone, he said. I feel it too. They sat there quietly, their fingers lightly touching. The night was silent, except for the sound of the wind in the trees. But peace wouldn't last. The next morning, Sierra stood at the window, watching a small black object fly across the sky. Her expression changed. They've found me, she whispered. David rushed over. Who? The keepers, she replied. They are not soldiers. They are enforcers. They come quietly without warning. Their job is to bring back anyone who breaks our laws, especially someone like me. David's face became serious. Then we need to hide you. It won't be easy, she said. They can track my energy. My body is not the same as yours. They'll find me soon. David called an old friend from his military days, Ray, who now worked in a hidden research base. Ray owed him a favor. After explaining the situation carefully without mentioning Sierra's full truth, Ray agreed to help. Bring her here. We'll hide her, he said. But they needed time. That night, Sierra stayed quiet. She kept looking around as if sensing something coming. David noticed how her energy had changed. She looked torn between two worlds. One, she had escaped, and one she didn't want to lose. I left everything behind to find freedom, she said to him, her voice low. But now, freedom means something different. It means you. David stood in front of her, trying to stay strong. Then we fight for that freedom. I won't let anyone take you. She looked up at him, eyes filled with emotion. No other male has ever touched me, David. No other voice has stayed in my heart. I don't want to go back. I don't want to forget what I found here. David reached out and held both her hands. Then you won't. Not if I can help it. But just as those words left his mouth, a low humming filled the air. They ran outside. In the distance, a shape was forming in the sky, dark, silent, and smooth like a black stone. It hovered above the hills, unmoving. Sierra whispered, It's them, the keepers. David rushed back inside, grabbed a small bag with emergency items and handed her a coat. We have to go now, he said. Ray's place is 2 hours away. Sierra hesitated. They'll follow. They'll never stop. I'm not giving you up, David said firmly. She looked at him. Tears began to form in her eyes. Her first. A sign that she had changed. Forever. You gave me more than safety, she said. You gave me meaning. He looked into her eyes. And you gave me something to believe in again. With that, they stepped outside into the darkness, ready to run. Their bond had grown, stronger than either of them imagined. But now, it would be tested. The real journey was about to begin. The dark road stretched out in front of them. David drove fast, his hands tight on the steering wheel. Sierra sat beside him, silent, her eyes watching the sky. The wind howled outside, and the stars above looked dimmer now, as if they too were hiding. They had left David's house just in time. The strange black craft from the sky had started moving slowly toward the town. Sierra had felt it, felt the presence of the keepers in the air. Their energy was cold, sharp, and impossible. To mistake, they were getting closer every hour. We'll reach Ray's place soon, David said, keeping his eyes on the road. He's got a private bunker near the mountains. Nobody will find us there. Sierra nodded but didn't speak. Her face looked calm, but inside her heart was full of confusion. She had come to Earth to escape control. But now, running from her past, She felt caught between two choices: hide forever or give herself up and lose everything she had found. She looked at David. His face was strong, focused. He was risking everything for her. She had never seen someone fight for her before. On her planet, people followed rules. No one ever followed their heart. Suddenly, a sharp sound cut through the quiet night. A strange buzz, high-pitched and quick. The car's lights flickered. David's eyes widened. "They're close. We've got to move faster." The car kept going, but Sierra felt a sharp pain in her chest. Her body was reacting again. Earth's energy was starting to hurt her. "My body, it's getting weaker," she said in a soft voice. "I don't know how much longer I can stay here." David looked at her with worry. "Hold on, Sierra. We're almost there. Just a little longer." They finally reached Ray's hidden location, a small metal building in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by thick desert shrubs and rocks. David knocked in a special pattern, and the door opened. Ray, a tall man with a tired face and gray eyes, welcomed them in. "You weren't joking," he said, looking at Sierra. "She's different." "She's a friend," David said. "And she needs help." Ray didn't ask more questions. He led them down a narrow hallway into an underground room. It was safe, quiet, and built to block signals. Sierra sat on a small cot and closed her eyes, breathing slowly. "She needs to rest," David said. Ray gave him a nod. "You've got a few hours. But if those things can track her, this won't be safe for long." David sat beside Sierra, who was now lying down. Her skin had lost some of its glow. Her breath was weak. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't mean to bring danger to your life." David shook his head. "You didn't. You brought meaning to it." Sierra looked at him with tired eyes. "When I left my world, I thought I was escaping prison, but I didn't know where I was going. I just ran." David gently held her hand. "Maybe you were meant to find something here." "I found more than something," she whispered. "I found you." A tear slipped from her eye. David brushed it away gently. "You don't have to speak," he said. "Just rest. I'm here." But Sierra couldn't sleep. Hours passed and she grew weaker. David stayed by her side, watching her struggle. At dawn, Ray came into the room with a worried face. "They've found us." David stood up quickly. "How much time?" "Minutes, maybe. You need to decide what to do, run again, or face them." Sierra sat up slowly. Her voice was faint. "Running will only delay things. They will never stop." David looked at her, eyes filled with fear. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying, maybe it's time I stop running." "No," David said. "If they take you, I may never see you again." Sierra touched his face gently. "If I go now, maybe they won't hurt you. Maybe they'll let you live in peace." "I don't want peace without you," he said. She smiled sadly. "You gave me a life I never knew was possible. You showed me feelings I was told to fear. If I only get to feel them once, I'm still grateful." Suddenly, the walls began to hum. The lights dimmed. The energy of the keepers was close. Sierra stood up, weak but steady. Her robe flowed around her as she walked toward the door. David grabbed her hand. "There has to be another way." Sierra turned to him and whispered, "Then promise me one thing." "Anything," he said. "Don't forget me. I couldn't even if I tried." Sierra gave him a small silver charm from her robe. "Keep this. It's part of me." The door opened. The air turned cold. Figures in black stepped forward, faces hidden behind smooth helmets. They didn't speak. They simply waited. Sierra walked toward them with her head high. But just as she reached them, she turned one last time and looked at David. With tears in her eyes, she whispered, "No other male has ever touched me. And now, I can't live without you. David stepped forward, but Ray held him back. If you move now, they'll take you too. And just like that, Sierra disappeared into the light with the keepers. David fell to his knees, the silver charm in his hand, and the weight of silence all around him, but somewhere deep inside he believed this wasn't the end. After Sierra was taken away by the keepers, David felt like the world had stopped turning. The silence in the room was heavy and cold. He sat alone, holding the small silver charm she had given him. It felt warm in his hand, as if it carried her spirit inside. Days passed, but David did not leave Ray's hidden place. He kept hoping Sierra would return. He talked to Ray about everything, the stories she told, the way she looked at the stars, the quiet moments they shared. Ray listened carefully. You know, David, what you had with her, it's not just chance. Some things change worlds. David nodded slowly. He missed Sierra's gentle voice, her curious eyes, and the way she made him believe in something bigger than himself. One night, David was sitting outside the bunker, staring at the sky. The stars were bright, but a strange feeling filled the air, a feeling of waiting. Suddenly, a small light appeared far away on the horizon. It moved slowly but surely toward him. David's heart raced. The light grew larger. It wasn't like the Black Keeper's ship. This one was soft, glowing with blue and white colors. The ship landed gently on the ground. The door opened. David stood up, frozen with hope and fear. Out stepped Sierra. She looked different, stronger, brighter, and wearing a new robe that shimmered in the moonlight. Her silver eyes held wisdom and peace. David ran to her without thinking. They hugged tightly, holding on as if they would never let go. I came back, Sierra whispered. I spoke with the leaders of my people. I told them about Earth, about freedom, about love. David pulled back to look at her face. And? They listened. They changed the laws. I'm no longer a prisoner of old rules. I'm now an ambassador between our worlds. David smiled, tears shining in his eyes. You changed your whole world. Sierra nodded. Because you showed me what it means to be free, to choose, to care. The next days were filled with hope. Sierra and David worked together to build trust between their people. She taught him about her culture, and he shared Earth stories with her. Though they came from different worlds, their hearts beat as one. Sierra told David, no other male has ever touched me, and now I can't live without you. But it's more than that. It's about connection, about understanding, about choosing to be together even when it's hard. David held her hand. And I won't let you go. They stood under the stars, looking toward the future. A future where love crossed planets and hope was stronger than fear. Their story was just beginning.